Good evening, everyone. Tonight, we're traveling back to a time with no iPhones, no water filters, and most importantly, no Tinder, to see how our prehistoric ancestors looked for love. Are you lying on a comfy mattress? Try to imagine this instead of a duvet. You're wrapped in animal hide, and instead of ordering food from an app, you have to chase it with a spear. Yep, odds are you wouldn't survive this stage of human history. One scratch from a thorn or a wrong step into mammoth dung, and that's pretty much your life over. Let's imagine what if you were reincarnated, but this time as a prehistoric human. No electricity, no words, no hope beyond surviving another day, and maybe, just maybe, finding someone to gnaw on roots with under the moonlight. So before you get too cozy, take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And don't forget to comment below with your location and what time you're watching this video. We love knowing where our sleepy tribe gathers. Now switch off the lights, maybe turn on a fan for some ambient noise, and let's enjoy tonight's journey together. You shuffle out of the cave where the first light of dawn spills down the rocky slope like a giant torch beaming from the sky. Your back aches as if you've spent the night sleeping on a sack of pebbles because, well, you have. Your hair's a wild mess, your arms streaked with charcoal dust. You're not cosplaying a caveman, you are one. And this morning, like every morning, only one question thumps through your brain. How on earth am I supposed to find a partner? You step over the still smoking ashes from last night's fire, where you and a few other tribe members swapped stories about the growling black shadow that everyone's too afraid to call a tiger. You hiss slightly through your teeth, not out of coolness, but because a bit of root is still wedged between your molars from yesterday. The prehistoric equivalent of brushing your teeth is grabbing a twig and hoping it doesn't have insects. Off in the distance, a few folks are building a fire, not for cooking, but to keep the mosquitoes at bay. And you've got nobler ambitions finding a mate. The problem is, in 10,000 BC, there's no swiping left or right. If you wanted a match, you actually had to walk physically, walk to where the person was, hope they weren't being mauled by lions and pray they weren't already into someone else. Like Grog, whose biceps are roughly the size of your entire torso. You head toward the community gathering spot, a bare patch of dirt where some tribe members hang out scribbling on rocks and banging stones together in what they call music. A girl is scraping roots with a sharp flint. You look at her and smile, or at least you think you're smiling. With a chipped tooth and cracked lips, you probably look more like someone who's just swallowed a bee. You attempt the classic move, tossing a coconut her way. It hits her on the head. She looks at you as if you've just declared yourself the moon's offspring. You raise a hand in apology by scratching your armpit, which back then meant, oops, my bad. You remember in your past life how historians debated whether Stone Age humans even knew how to flirt. Now you know the truth, they did. They were just rubbish at it. You head to the stream. Maybe a cleaner face will help. You splash your face with ice-cold water, so cold, it feels like your soul tries to retreat back into the cave. After rinsing off, you look exactly the same. Just wetter. No cleanser, no toner, just moss and hope. You try again, approaching a group, sharing forest chestnuts. You cut in with a joke. Save some for the pretty one over there. One of them promptly spits a nut at your face. Prehistoric humor is direct. You slink back to the fire, defeated, where you run into an old man. He nods. It's not easy, son. You recognize him, Urok, the oldest in the tribe, with 3 ex-wives and a pet rock dog. He taps your chest and says, I used to be shy too, but then I discovered the secret. You lean in. He winks. The secret is, don't try too hard. Just grill good meat. The wisdom hits you like a femur to the face. Maybe instead of trying to be attractive, you just need to survive, share your meat, and laugh while you're still not eaten by bears. You decide to try again this time, by inviting someone to forage for roots with you. Then you hear a distant roar. You freeze. Not a lion. It's your stomach. So hungry, even you start thinking you're a predator. And in that moment, you realize if you don't find a mate today at least, find something edible. You turn around, grip your spear, and head into the forest, filled with a strange, reckless hope that maybe, just maybe, someone out there is also looking for a partner dumb enough to eat raw roots and call it modern cuisine. You tiptoe into the forest like some sort of ancient ninja, though in reality, you're stepping on so many dry twigs that every crack sounds louder than your rumbling stomach. It's fine, you tell yourself. Your ancestors survived the Ice Age. You'll survive a few thorny bushes. Or a porcupine. The air smells of damp grass, rotting wood, and something faintly familiar. Probably your own sweat from yesterday. But today, you have a mission not just to find food, but to find love. Why? Because if you have to keep sleeping alone in a cave during the cold season, you'd honestly rather be mauled by a bear. You rummage through a bush, and your hand brushes against something soft. You jump back. It's a badger. It looks at you like you've insulted its entire extended family. You try a peace gesture, but it sprays something at you that has you coughing violently. You back away. A graceful failure. Love can wait. Sore throats can't. You keep going deeper into the woods. A sound stops you, water flowing. A stream. And by the stream, there she is, the girl from yesterday. She's crouched down, washing what looks like a piece of animal hide or possibly scrubbing a dead fish. You're not entirely sure. You take a deep breath and accidentally swallow a mosquito. You decide this is the perfect moment to express affection through body odor. Did you know one strange but surprisingly scientific theory suggests that prehistoric humans chose their partners based on smell? Apparently, your body scent revealed whether your genes were a good match for making healthy babies. Sounds logical until you remember you currently smell like dead snake and monkey fur. You walk towards her saying nothing. Because, well, you haven't yet invented a sentence more romantic than grrr. She turns to look. You smile, that same cracked lip, gap-toothed expression you've been trying to perfect, and silently pray your scent is genetically compatible. She sniffs. Her face relaxes or tenses. Hard to tell. Then she sneezes. Then you sneeze. You both stand there sneezing, like you're having a conversation. You remember historians once debated whether Stone Age people could tell the difference between good and bad smells. Now you know not only could they, but they judged your marriage potential on it. You think quickly got to turn this around. You dig into your leather pouch and pull out a wild onion. You were saving it for dinner, but now it's your final move. You offer it to her like it's a blooming bouquet of red roses. She sniffs, smiles. Your heart pounds, or maybe you've just inhaled a large speck of pollen. Either way, something rare has just happened in this world, a nod from someone of the opposite sex. You invite her to go foraging for roots together. The Stone Age version of grabbing a coffee. She doesn't answer, just stands up and walks with you. That's enough. While the two of you dig, you accidentally nudge her foot with yours. Like those casual cinema moments when hands brush. She squints at you, then gently bops you on the head with a root. Not hard, just a little prehistoric. Don't push it. You find a hefty root. You're about to show off, but she's already found one twice the size. You think to yourself, strong, independent, excellent foraging skills, perfect. Except, she might actually be stronger than you. Suddenly a growl bursts from a nearby bush. You both freeze. You grab her hand, not out of romance but pure fear. She grabs yours back with the kind of grip that makes you think she might use you as a weapon. You both run. You trip. She hauls you up with enough force to spin you around. You keep running. Behind you, not a lion. A wild boar, furious, heavy-bellied, and for some reason chasing your romance. You both leap into a ditch. The boar storms past, oblivious. You lie there, panting, hearts pounding, still holding her hand. You look over. She's smiling. A warm smile despite the dirt, the wet hair, the fact you both now smell like swamp. In that moment, you don't think about Tinder or texting or profile pictures. You just know someone helped you survive, and you don't think she smells that bad. You squeeze her hand a little tighter. No words, no emojis, just warmth. And the rest, you'll figure out later. You wake up the next morning to a familiar smell. Smoke, moss, and the burnt fringe of your hair from yesterday. Ah, yes, fire. You tried to light one to impress her, and you remember it clearly, one poof of flame, and your eyebrows disappeared like a joke no one laughed at. You cautiously glance to your right. She's there, sleeping beneath a layer of animal hide hair, a mess, mouth slightly open like she's dreaming of something edible. You want to do something gallant. In today's world, you might make her coffee or toast, but in this world, you need to light a fire. You recall Urok's wisdom. Fire is the fastest way to make someone think you're a genius. You grab 2 flint stones, take a deep breath, and start striking. Clack, clack, clack. You hit until your wrist is on strike. A spark, 2, a bit of smoke, and boom, you've set fire to your leather sleeve. She wakes up coughing, and you're frantically slapping the flames out with dirt. Not impressive, just painful. You sit there sulking. Sometimes you wish this era had lighters, or at least YouTube tutorials. But then she chuckles a soft laugh with a hint of smoke and forgiveness. You hand her a leftover root from last night. She bites it. Both of you grimace. It tastes like a chewed sandal if sandals had a flavor. You remember how historians debated when early humans learned to cook with fire. Now you know they did, just not well. You try again. You set up a dry femur over 2 rocks, pile the roots underneath, and strike flint once more. A spark, smoke, a whoosh, and finally a proper flame. No singed hair, no burnt fingers, just warm, steady fire right where you intended. You look at her as if you've just invented the sandwich. She pats your shoulder. In that era, it means well done, idiot. The 2 of you sit by the fire warming up and roasting roots that don't end up black. The world quietens. Only the crackle of wood, the wind through trees, and the occasional hiss from a nearby tribe arguing over who stole whose axe. You glance at her animal hide draped nearby. It's hers. But it's more than clothing. It's a personal statement. You think maybe it's time to upgrade your look too. You stand up, head to a tree, and gather some big leaves. You wrap them around yourself like you're about to walk the Paris catwalk. She looks at you, raises an eyebrow, then gives a half smile. Just as you strike a confident pose, a gust of wind hits. Leaves fly everywhere. You are now wearing nothing but embarrassment. She bursts out laughing. You blush so hard you're practically attracting flies who think you're a ripe berry. You bend down, pick up the leaves, and wrap them again, this time tighter. Humiliating, yes. But at least you get points for humor. Did you know some researchers believe Stone Age clothing wasn't just for warmth, but also for showing status? Sadly, prehistoric fashion was very vulnerable to the weather. You sit back down. She hands you a perfectly roasted root, crispy and golden. You chew, pretending you totally know what root this is. It tastes like boiled bicycle tire, but you nod appreciatively, grinning like you're eating pizza. She tilts her head, makes a sound. You half understand, probably asking, "What's your name?" You clear your throat, thump your chest. Ung. She laughs. Ung. Sounds like a choking chicken. You scratch your head. And She thumps her chest. Ta. And ta, you repeat. Sounds like the opening to a prehistoric love ballad. You both laugh, sitting side by side, firelight flickering across muddy faces that you're starting to find rather sweet. You look at her tomorrow. Want to go root foraging again? She winks. If you don't burn your eyebrows again, maybe. And just like that, no messages, no calls, no Tinder, just a fire, a few roots, a failed leaf outfit, and an honest smile. Tomorrow you think you'll try learning a few more words in tar, and maybe, just maybe, figure out how to roast a root without turning it to charcoal. This morning you wake up determined to make a bigger impression than yesterday. Not just by starting a fire, not just by not burning your eyebrows, but this time fashion. If prehistoric humans didn't have Louis Vuitton, you're determined to become the tribe's first ever best leaf dresser of the stone century. You remember how she Thon laughed when your leafy outfit blew away in the wind. Today you're serious. No more wardrobe malfunctions. You pick wider leaves, stick them down with tree sap that's basically ancient superglue, more like snake glue actually, since you haven't managed to get near an elephant yet. You add a few shiny stones and tie them on with rope. You look into a murky puddle and see a reflection, a warrior, ready for Jungle Fashion Week. You arrive at the tribe's weekly trade gathering, where people swap roots for hide fire, for dried fish heads. You're not there to trade. You're just passing by Thon's spot, purely coincidentally, of course, not planned at all. You walk in trying to look casual. Unfortunately, the tree sap is pulling tight, so you're walking like a stiff puppet doing an interpretive dance. A shaggy-haired man watches you hobble past and asks tummy problems. You nod, no point lying. Then you see her. Thon is bartering with an old woman trading dried fish for a short-handled stone axe. You move closer, but something stops you. Something big, something dangerous, something growling. Grog. He's the walking stereotype of Stone Age masculinity, the one bloke you don't want to bump into. Broad shoulders, thick beard, and a resting face that says, "I once punched a bear because it looked moody." Today, Grog is standing guard, spear in hand, staring at Thon like he's mentally furnishing a cave for two. You edge forward. "Tar," you say, smiling in what you hope is a friendly way. She looks up. She laughs clearly, surprised by your well-thought-out outfit. Then she sniffs. You're sweating not from fear, but from the bloody snake glue heating up your body like a sauna. Grog glares. You hear your stomach rumble. Could be fear, could be hunger, could be your body whispering, "Run." Did you know? Some historians believe prehistoric people used makeup, not just for war, but also to appear stronger or more desirable. Smearing charcoal on your face to look fierce, or mud on your arms to look muscular. Tactical beauty. You decide to go all in. From your leather pouch, you pull out your most precious item, a white bird feather, incredibly rare. You found it while nearly falling off a cliff. You offer it to Thon. Grog frowns. You smile like you're just the messenger. Thon accepts it and gently tucks it into her hair. A brief moment of peace. Then Grog steps forward. He says, "Just your name. No other words." You nod. Grog, this is the moment. You've got to look confident, even though every cell in your body wants to run the opposite way. Thon stands between you both. She raises her hand, not to choose, but to pause. Then she speaks something long and serious in her language, pointing toward the distant mountains where a herd of bison is passing through. You don't fully understand, but the message is clear. "Whoever brings me one of those, I'll think about it." You groan inside. Grog nods at once, turning away like he's already killed 3. You don't even know what a bison looks like apart from big and fast. But you can't back down. Not now. Not when she's got your feather in her hair. So you nod, trying to look cool, then walk off in a direction completely different from Grog's. Because you're not stupid enough to compete head-on. Maybe you'll find a small bison, or something bison adjacent but less deadly. You march into the woods, tripping occasionally as your glue leaf trousers start to peel off like wet paper. But you keep going. Your goal, love, your weapon, hope, and your battle cry. Please don't die by angry buffalo. If you survive today, you think this will be a story to tell. And if not, well, fingers crossed. Grog sprains his ankle. You're sprinting through the forest like someone being chased by bees, though the only thing chasing you right now is the fear of humiliating defeat. Grog went off after the actual bison herd, and you're chasing a different idea. Pretend you caught something bison-like. You part, leaves wade through a stream, climb a rock, and promptly tumble down the other side unintentionally. By the time you stop rolling, your face is full of dirt, your body covered in mud, and then you see it, a creature, not a bison, a wild boar, fat, moody, with the eyes of someone who's just been dumped. You sigh. A boar is still, technically a beast. You creep closer, grip your spear, breathe in. The boar turns and looks at you, not angry, not afraid, just deeply disappointed. A strange moment passes between two creatures with the same goal: survival. You hesitate. Should you kill it? You ask yourself. Then you think of Thon and Grog. Grog's probably wrestling a creature the size of your cave. You need some kind of trophy, even if it's slightly ridiculous. You charge, or more accurately, you shuffle towards it with a raised spear and a bad back. The boar doesn't wait. It squeals and runs. You chase spear-wobbling feet, tripping breath, wheezing like a broken bellows. You pursue it past 3 bushes, 1 beehive, and a patch of swamp that nearly eats your foot, if you'd had shoes, that is. Eventually, the boar vanishes into tall grass. You collapse against a tree panting, and decide if you can't catch it, then fake it. You pull an old bone from your pouch, the one you usually use to scratch your back, dip it in mud, and scratch on some fake bite marks. You strap it to your belt and walk tallish. You remember back in your previous life, historians argued whether early humans boasted about hunting. Now you know absolutely yes, and with great imagination. A scrap of bone, a fake scar, and a mysterious squint is all it takes to build a legend. You return to the tribe just as the sun hits its peak. Everyone is gathered, and Grog is back. He's standing in the middle of the clearing holding a strip of bison hide. People gather praising him. Someone even blows a shell like a victory horn. Grog crosses his arms, giving that tiny smug smile that makes people worship him. You swallow, step forward. Thon's at the edge of the circle. You raise your tiny bone, trying your deepest voice. I, too, have hunted. A massive boar. Silence. All eyes on your pathetic little bone. Someone snorts. Grog smirks. You say nothing more. You look at Tar. She doesn't laugh. She just tilts her head. How far did you chase it, she asks. You answer honestly. 3 bushes, a beehive, some swamp. She smiles a soft, kind smile. That'll do. As long as you didn't give up. You freeze. Not giving up, it sounds like something your old PE teacher would say, but it warms your muddy heart like a cup of prehistoric soup. She steps closer, touches your muddy bone. Next time, wash it before you show it off. You both laugh. Grog watches, then turns away, maybe disappointed, maybe afraid you're winning in a way no one understands through hopeless sincerity. The afternoon continues as normal. Someone's painting deer on rocks. Someone's yelling about a missing stone hammer. Children chase wild chickens around the fire. You sit beside Thon, gnawing on roasted roots, listening to her story about the time she was chased by a crocodile only for it to slip on moss and land flat on its face. You laugh so hard you choke. A root shoots up your nose. Thon pats your back gently, saving your life. She says honestly, "I'm always the accidental medic when I'm around you." You think better that than being around Grog, who makes everyone need a real medic. The sun dips low yolk yellow through the trees. You lie back on the grass. Thon next to you. Your hand brushes hers. Neither of you pulls away. You look around at the sky, the wind, the half-chewed roots, the muddy bone, and you think, this is all right. Tonight, you don't need bison, just someone willing to sit beside you and laugh at something stupid. That right there is the greatest trophy of all. The morning begins with a loud burp. Not from you, not from Tar, but from Borka, a large man, bald-headed, belly out, known in the tribe for two things: finding roots hidden beneath rocks and communicating exclusively in burps. You're sitting beside Tar, trying to roast something that looks like a root, but is actually a piece of leftover hide from yesterday's belt-making incident. You're about to ask her a question when another burp echoes through the clearing, long and trembling like a broken saxophone. Borka has arrived. He never makes eye contact, only stares at people's stomachs. It might be a health check technique, or maybe he's just hungry. You nod in greeting. He replies with a short, firm burp, rhythmic, decisive. Possibly, "Good morning." Possibly, "I'd like to eat you." You remember how historians used to argue whether early humans had language. Well, now you know the truth, they did, but a lot of it was acoustic. Burps, grunts, whistles, sneezes, all possibly meaning "I love you," or "step back before I bite." Tar nudges you with her elbow. He's asking, she whispers, if we're a couple. You blush so hard that flies start circling your head, mistaking you for a ripe berry. You try to answer clearly, but what comes out is erp. You didn't mean to. But Tar bursts out laughing, covering her mouth. Borka lifts his head and nods, as if you've just passed some sacred tribal citizenship test in the ancient tongue. Then he steps back, lets out one more burp. This one sounded like, "Good luck." Possibly. You're not sure. But either way, you've just spoken an ancient dialect without paying a penny in tuition. Right after that, Tar takes your hand. Not tightly, not for long, just a small, soft squeeze enough to make your heart thump like a tribal drum. You try to stay cool, but inside your brain fireworks are going off like you've just discovered Wi-Fi in the wilderness. That afternoon, you and Tar walk to the riverbank, the tribe's unofficial community arts center. On the stones, people have drawn horses, bison lions, and what looks like someone being hit on the head with a rock. Probably a self-portrait from one of your ancestors. Tar picks up a burnt piece of charcoal and begins to draw. She sketches a person holding a spear next to another holding a root. Could be you. Could be a warning sign saying, "Don't eat this." But then she adds two people standing beneath the sun. You reach out gently, tracing the lines. "Is that us?" She nods. You smile. "I can draw too." You pick up some charcoal and draw. A creature with a tail, horns, teeth, something that looks like it's escaped from a nightmare zoology textbook. Tar tilts her head. "What's that supposed to be?" You scratch your head. "Love. But the kind that might bite back." She laughs. "Aren't they all?" And you think fair enough. Just then, a woman comes running near, the tribe's root expert, shouting in alarm. A wild animal is nearby. Everyone scatters like a pot of stew spilt on hot stones. You grab Tar's hand, pulling her towards the high rocks. She climbs with ease. You slip 3 times and land in what may have been animal poo. But eventually, you make it up. From the top, you see the wild animal. It's a mountain goat, bug-bitten. spinning in circles, scratching its bottom on a tree. Not dangerous unless you are the tree. People begin returning, chuckling at the misunderstanding. But you remain flat on the rock, panting like an ancient rave DJ. Tar leans over, wiping mud from your cheek. You try to say something romantic, but what comes out is, I feel burp, faint. She shakes her head, smiling. Better than being carried back by grog. You laugh. And in that moment, with clouds drifting overhead, the goat wandering off in embarrassment and the wind playing in her hair, you understand no words, no symbols, no poetry needed. Just one look, one well-timed burp, and someone who doesn't leave when you fall in poo, that's enough. That's language. That's affection. That's the Stone Age where love is sniffed, spoken in hiccups, and carved on rocks like a status update no one can delete. The morning starts with a scream, not from someone injured, but from the tribe leader Gal. He's the one with golden teeth after once accidentally chewing on a rock full of minerals. Today he's announcing an important meeting. You yawn, not because you're tired, but because tribal meetings usually last longer than the sun itself. You tar and a few dozen others gather at the big dusty clearing. Everyone brings something to signal their tribal role. Grog brings an axe the size of 2 of your heads. Thon arrives with a basket of roots, elegant, simple. And you're holding a sharp stick for cleaning ears. Multi-purpose, also works against squirrels. Gal stands in the middle of the circle, hands raised like he's summoning spirits, then shouts, "Today, we will debate." You squint. Debate what? Which roots cause the least diarrhea? No, Gal continues. Who's the better hunter, men or women? The clearing falls silent. Then explodes like someone's just thrown a flaming squirrel into a hornet's nest. You remember how historians once debated whether prehistoric men always hunted while women only gathered. Now you know no one here is okay with being shoved into a box. They're arguing like thunder and absolutely not shy about it. A man named Copa stands up. I once brought down an antelope with nothing but my scream. Leery, a woman fires back. I killed a wild boar while pregnant. Gave birth and threw rocks at the same time. Your jaw drops. Thon smirks. Go on. Try giving birth, then talk. You turn to her. Once I had a dodgy mushroom and thought I was dying. That's close, right? The debate escalates. Everyone's showing off scars, broken bones, even a dried foxtail someone claims to have caught barehanded. Gal coughs loudly, demanding silence. We'll settle this with a barbecue. You blink. Thon nods. He means the team that roasts the most meat in one day wins. Of course. Barbecue, the eternal Stone Age conflict solver. Not elections, not debates, just who makes everyone less hungry. The tribe splits into 2 teams. On the left, the strong hunters. On the right, the creative multitaskers. You and Thon join the latter with others who aren't muscly, but are very inventive. Plans are drawn. Grog's team grabs spears and storms into the woods, roaring like warriors. Your team uses brains and rope. You gather jungle vines. With Thon and Neri, you build a simple trap. The idea animal walks in, trips, bonks its head, collapses, not dead, but discouraged. Then you finish it with a heavy sigh. By noon, your group's caught 2 rabbits, small but alive. Grog's team returns with a big rock and someone with a broken toe. You smirk. Thon nudges your shoulder. Don't celebrate yet. We still have to roast. Right. Phase 2. Cooking. You're nervous. Your fire skills have a history of eyebrow casualties. But this time, you try a new method, hot stones and giant leaves. You place the rabbit meat on the heated rock, cover it with leaves, and weigh them down with smaller stones. The smell starts to rise, not quite Texas BBQ, but not bad. People begin to notice. You stand tall still, keeping your distance from the flames like someone greeting an ex. Meanwhile, Grog's team struggles to light a fire. It's windy. Smoke everywhere. Eyes red. Grog shouts something prehistoric and rude. Finally, they decide to eat. Raw. You glance over and whisper, "Enjoy your jungle sushi." Imagine if modern arguments had to be solved this way. Want to win a promotion? Go into the woods and roast a rabbit. Meetings would be shorter. Wildlife numbers sadly would not. By sunset, Gal blows his conch. Bring the meat. Each team presents their results. Grog's group 2 raw chunks. Your team roasted rabbit with a smoky aroma and even some mashed roots sprinkled on top, like Stone Age garnish. Gal takes a bite. Everyone holds their breath. He nods, then grunts. Soft. Smells like wet feet, but tasty. You beam. Thon elbow bumps you. "We won," she says, "with brains and roots." Grog glares at his raw meat, then looks at you like he's considering using his axe to slice your garnish. You smile. "You can borrow our hot stones next time." You're not sure you'll survive saying that. Worth it. The debate ends. No one settles the question of who hunts better, but everyone's full. And by day's end, you and Thon sit by the glowing embers, hands just barely touching stomachs, full minds, light as feathers. And you think sometimes love begins with a shared rabbit roasted well and surviving Grog's temper. The morning begins with a grunt and the dry clack of 2 stones smacking together. That's because, well, 2 men are indeed smacking stones together. They're forehead to forehead, grumbling and growling like they're playing a very aggressive version of tribal rock, paper, scissors. You yawn. Another day, another prehistoric love triangle. You guess right, the reason is tar. You remember last night after the rabbit roasting triumph, you and Thon sat under the moonlight like some kind of jungle Romeo and Juliet. She told you about the time she caught a fish with her bare hands. You told her about the time a poisonous mushroom gave you 3 days of digestive regret. She laughed. You laughed. Neither of you noticed Grog lurking in the shadows, holding a stone axe and a face like thunder. And now, this is the result. Grog and a newcomer named Kahar, fresh from the tribe across the mountain, are squaring off in the traditional Stone Age way. Head contact, angry breathing, and preparing to bludgeon each other into amnesia. You step closer, about to say something like, "Can't we settle this?" Like people who've discovered consonants, but Thon gets there first. She steps between them. Calm, direct, no nonsense. "You two might be good at smashing rocks," she says, "but I am not one." You stand behind her, mouthing silently, "That needs carving in stone." Both men look at her. Grog lets out a low growl, but says nothing. Kahar backs off, a smart man. In Stone Age, romance, sometimes not fighting, is the real victory. You remember in your past life how historians debated whether jealousy existed in early humans. Now you know it did, and they were very good at turning it into dramatic episodes over a single sideways glance. Thon pulls you away from the crowd. The two of you walk along the riverbank where sunlight filters through the leaves like someone sprinkled glitter on time itself. You want to ask her something, but hesitate. Finally, you say, "If I didn't have a big axe or rock-smashing skills and I only knew how to make fire, would you still choose me?" She stops, doesn't look at you. Instead, she picks up a smooth, round pebble. "Do you know what this is?" she asks. You scratch your head. pebble. She shakes her head. No, this is what I use to scratch my back when the ground's dry. You nod, waiting for something deeper. She smiles. It's small, round, not sharp, doesn't make a fuss, but it's useful. I don't throw it away just because it's quiet. You freeze. Is this a metaphor? A compliment? A gentle insult? Whatever it is, your heart glows like a fire that actually started on the first strike. That evening, the whole tribe gathers around the fire. It's Season Change Festival, a very ancient excuse to overeat, exaggerate stories, and yell rhythmically. Everyone is asked to tell a memorable tale. Grog tells one about fighting hyenas. Neri tells a tale of how the wind once blew away her leather skirt. You hesitate. Then Thon nudges you forward. Tell them she says about when you set your face on fire to impress me. You grimace but step up. You tell it. Everyone laughs, not mockingly but properly. You realize that in this tribe, being remembered isn't about your kill count. It's about making people forget they're hungry for a while. After you, it's Tar's turn. She tells the story of this morning of two men fighting over her. Everyone gasps. She ends it with, "But I won't pick someone good at throwing stones. I'll choose the one who can roast roots without burning them." All eyes turn to you. You blush, but your heart is dancing on the spot. After the festival, when most people have dozed off, you and Thon sit by the glowing embers. Her hand rests gently on yours. Tomorrow, she says, let's go catch fish together. I can't swim. You don't need to. Just hold the basket and try not to scare the fish away. You chuckle. The moon hangs above like a glowing rock, someone stuck in the sky by accident. You glance at Tar and think in a world where love can be misunderstood over a single glance. You're lucky she understands you, even if you're no more skilled than a back-scratching pebble. You wake up to a strange sensation on your face. Not the breeze, not a root, but something, licking you. You shoot upright. It's Chip, the orphaned wild dog you rescued 3 days ago. You named him Chip, because whenever he panics, he makes a sound like someone pouring water on a dying fire. You stroke his fur, trying not to focus on whether you've just touched tangled hair or actual fleas. Thon appears just behind him holding a basket. Today is fishing day. Not the romantic kind with riverside tea and dainty biscuits, but the prehistoric kind, freezing water bare hands, and a high risk of stepping on dinosaur dung. The two of you head to the stream. The sky is clear. Sunlight catches the morning mist rising off the water like a pot of swamp soup. You roll up your trousers. Oh wait, you don't have trousers. Just a strip of leather round your waist to make yourself feel prepared. Thon hands you a basket woven from jungle fibers. Don't tear it. Took me 2 days to make. You nod. Just don't laugh if I fall in. She grins. No promises. You wade into the water. It's icy, just 1 degree warmer than Grog's stare. You begin herding the fish her, on the left, you on the right. They leap the water splashes, and for a brief moment it's almost romantic. Until you see a bear. Not a metaphorical bear, not an emotional bear. A real breathing, sizable bear, standing on the opposite bank, tilting its head as if to ask, do these two come seasoned? You swallow. Thon freezes. Chip from a distance squeaks his usual useless alarm chip. The bear steps forward. You touch Tar's shoulder. She grips your hand. Neither of you moves. You wonder how reliable are those scientists who say bears don't attack if you stay calm. You try calmness. And just as the bear steps into the stream, it slips on a mossy rock and belly flops into the water. You both stifle your laughs, just tiny gasps of disbelief and nerves. The bear, unharmed but deeply offended, glares at you like it just failed a dance audition. Then it turns and walks away, dignity dripping behind it. You remember when historians debated whether early humans really faced wild animals like in films. Now you know they did, but sometimes the animals were just clumsy. You and Tar stand in silence a moment longer. Then she turns. You just made a bear lose face. You shake your head. Slippery rocks. Nothing to do with me. She narrows her eyes. Go on. Take the credit. Bear loses cool. We catch fish. She lifts the basket, 2 fat fish flopping around, seemingly just as confused as you. Back at the village, you pass Grog. He's whittling a log, either a mask or a fish-bashing tool. When he sees you and Thon holding fish, his eyes go sharp like freshly honed flint. You nod politely, trying not to grin too wide. Thon pulls you over to the fire pit near the painting rocks. Together you gut the fish, season them with fragrant root and a wild herb that's basically ancient coriander, but causes sleepwalking if eaten raw. You light the fire calmly, professionally, no eyebrow casualties. As the fish cooks, Thon tells you a story. When I was little, I got lost in the forest. I cried. An old woman gave me grilled meat and said, "If you survive, learn to grill well and thank the world." Who was she, you ask? No idea. Witch, maybe? Or just a very hungry woman with principles? You laugh. A silly story, but also a solid career motivation. When the fish is ready, you both take bites. It's salty, fragrant, slightly burnt, but deeply satisfying. You think about how if the bear hadn't slipped today, this romantic meal might have ended in you becoming dessert. Thanks for not leaving me when the bear showed up, you say. Thon looks at you. You think I'd run off alone. You shrug. If I were the bear, I'd run from me. She bursts out laughing. Good. Because if you were a poisonous mushroom, I'd run too. You both laugh until your eyes water from smoke, from cold, from the ridiculousness of it all. And you realize between rivalries, tumbling bears, and delicate fish baskets, the two of you have found something beautifully ancient trust. And in a world without messages, video calls, or status updates, trust is more precious than any shiny stone you've ever seen. You step out of the cave at first light, buzzing with excitement. Today's the day for a classic date, a walk in the rain. Simple, romantic, timeless. Until the rain actually arrives and it's not the gentle drizzle you imagined from a French love story. It's hail, the size of melons, crashing down like the thunder gods having a tantrum because someone stole his fire. You sprint for cover, holding a giant leaf over your head, like a prehistoric umbrella ducking through thickets, searching for shelter. You spot a large rock ledge. Under it, Thon is already curled up, soaked, clutching a bundle of dry roots, like it's the most precious thing she owns. You brought roots into a hailstorm, you ask, dripping wet, trying to wring out your sleeves. She gives you a look. Emergency supplies. If I get hungry, I chew. You nod with admiration. That's foresight. You were imagining a cozy afternoon, the two of you grilling roots and telling stories. Instead, melon-sized ice is hammering the stone above, and the temperature is dropping faster than laughter at a bad joke. You remember back in your old life, historians used to wonder whether prehistoric people built temporary shelters. Now you know they did, but mainly by borrowing someone else's cave and pretending it was theirs. You look around. This isn't your usual spot, or Tar's. It's clearly someone else's abandoned shelter. There are bone fragments in the corner, a broken axe, and most concerning, a snapped leather strap that screams domestic disagreement. Thon rummages in her root pouch, breaks off a piece and offers it to you. Not tasty, she warns, but it'll help you forget the cold. You chew. It tastes like soggy disappointment, but you nod thoughtfully. It has a long finish. She laughs. The finish is numb lips. You stick out your tongue and try to wash it down with rainwater, only to realize it's dripping off a crack in the stone and tastes like rusty bug wings. With the storm still raging, you decide to do what all ancient humans did when faced with chaos: tell absurd stories. Once I was stung on the backside by a forest bee while sleeping in tall grass, you begin. Thon turns wide-eyed. Not just one bee, you continue. The whole hive. Ever since I sleep face up. She laughs so hard she hugs her belly. Outside, hail still hammers the rocks, but that sound, her laugh, makes the cave feel warmer. Then she tells one, I once thought wild mushrooms were baked sweets. Ate one bite, hallucinated for 3 days, dreamt I married a monkey. You nod seriously. If you told that to a real monkey, it would have filed for divorce. You both look at each other giggling like kids drawing stick figures on cave walls. The hail eases, then turns to rain. Then to mist, like the sky's apology for being dramatic. You step outside, tilting your face up. Sunlight breaks gently through the clouds, glinting off Thon's wet hair as she wrings it out, tying it back into a knot. Rain's over, you say. But the sogginess isn't. She replies, grimacing at her soaked leather outfit. You glance back toward the tribe. The smoke from the fire pit is curling into the air like a silent signal. Shall we head back? Yes, she smiles. But technically, this wasn't a proper date. You scratch your head. Hailstorm in a cave doesn't count. She tilts her head. It counts. But next time, sunshine, no bruises. You nod. I'll check with the sky in advance. The two of you walk away, leaving behind puddles filled with footprints and half-chewed roots. And you feel like you've just been on the most primitive picnic ever. Very little food, lots of weather, a sprinkle of danger, and a whole lot of honesty. You think if it's sunny tomorrow, maybe I'll catch her a cicada, make it into a ring. They already come with a shiny shell, and no one's ever said no to a summer engagement that hums. This morning you wake up with determination in your bones, not because you've discovered a new type of root, though actually you have, but because you've prepared a gift. A gift no one else in the tribe has. A symbol of status, rarity, and bold romantic intent, a hippopotamus tooth. Yes, you heard that right. A hippo tooth. Not for chewing, for giving. To whom? Obviously, Tar. Because Urok, the scarred old man with 3 ex-wives, once said I gave her a mammoth tooth. She married me straight after. You couldn't find a mammoth. But Hippo, just as majestic. Right. You sit polishing it in your hands. It's hard, shiny, and smells faintly unpleasant. You rub it with sand to get the scent off. It doesn't help much, but at least it's less slimy now. You remember when historians used to wonder, did early humans give gifts as a way to propose? Now you know, yes, but the gifts were bones, teeth, animal bits. The kind of things modern people would bury, not frame. You clutch your precious hippo tooth and set out to find Tar. She's by the stream lighting a fire. Her leather wrap is tied high, hair knotted back, ready to chase chickens with her bare hands if necessary. You approach nervous. Your palms are sweating, or maybe the tooth is, we may never know. You hold it out, say nothing. She turns. What's this tooth? You stammer. Hippo, for you. She frowns, turning it over in her fingers. Real tooth. You nod eagerly. Still got blood. I wiped it with moss. Silence. 3 heartbeats long. Then she smiles. Pretty. But, do you know what this means? You freeze. It's not a proposal. She squints, amused. In my tribe, giving a hippo tooth means... She pauses. We're breaking up. You stand there like a tree that's just been struck by lightning. What? Yes, she continues, very serious. It's how we say thanks, but I prefer being alone. Or we're not compatible hunters. Or you smell and I need space. You gulp. Your whole morning plan plus your dreams of a riverside wedding surrounded by well-behaved deer collapses like a termite mound in the rain. But She twirls the tooth in the light. You're not from my tribe. You nod cautiously. So, maybe for you a hippo tooth means something else. You nod like your neck's come unhinged. She grins. Fine, I accept. But in return, you owe me something romantic. You think fast. I'll make you a necklace from monkey fur and seashells. She wrinkles her nose. Monkey fur's itchy. And where would you get shells? You remember there's no sea for miles. The only shell you own is a fragment from that nomad Joe, the one who speaks half tribe, half choking noise. You switch tactics. I'll cook you something special. She raises an eyebrow. Not that crying mushroom stew from last time, no. This time roasted red stones with wild beast heart, garnished with liver-cooling roots. She bursts out laughing. Sounds like a witch doctor's lunch. You bow slightly. I'm learning to be a better man and a slightly more accurate chef. She says nothing but turns away to hide a smile. Tonight, campfire. If I'm still alive after your cooking, I'll think about the tooth. You walk away like a man pardoned. In your head, a new mission forms. Find beast heart, not an actual heart, but something shaped like one. Roast it properly. Not raw, not charcoal. No accidental food poisoning. You recall that modern dating panic you give someone a Cartier ring, only to discover in their culture, it means we're done. You've lived that moment, just replace the ring with a mossy hippo tooth. That afternoon, you go hunting with Chip. You don't find a heart, but discover a strange cut of meat, maybe thigh, maybe unmentionable. You roast it slowly, sprinkle crushed red stones, actually dried gravel, and add root garnish. That evening by the fire, you present the dish on a leaf. Thon sits down, eyeing you. This is heartfelt, you say. She sniffs, takes a bite, chews, thinks, then smiles. Tastes like something I can forgive. You exhale in relief. So, about the tooth. She slips it over her neck. Do you have a spare in case we fight again? You grin. Next time, I'll gift a bone. The hippo tooth swings gently at her throat as she laughs, and you realize for the right person, even the wrong symbol can become the perfect token. You wake up with a dull ache, not in your heart, thankfully. Thon's still wearing the hippo tooth, but in your belly. Last night you ate too much of Neri's digestive root. Marketed as a belly lightener, it worked perfectly. You spent the night waking up 3 times to become extremely light. But today is no ordinary day. A member of the tribe has just stood up and declared, "We're too alone. It's time to start a spiritual movement." You almost choke on the root you're chewing. The speaker is Kobe, a man thin as a twig, with the wide-eyed stare of someone who recently dreamt he was the forest god. Kobe stands atop a boulder, arms outstretched, shouting, "Thon has spoken to the sun. He says, we must stop chasing, love, eat only wild seeds, and sleep on grass." You glance at Tar. "Is he okay?" you whisper. She shrugs. "Better than yesterday." Yesterday, he proposed to a river stone. Kobe continues, rapturous. "Love makes us suffer. The sun told me, do not pursue anyone." "Pursue the light," you mutter. "So, we're banning romance." Kobe points at you. "Exactly. No love, no jealousy, no hippo teeth. Only the sun is your true partner." You sigh. Another love failure turned cult leader. You remember back in your past life, historians wondered whether early humans had religious systems. Now you know absolutely, and sometimes it only takes one bad breakup to spark an entire personal religion. The funny part, some people actually join. They start wearing grass hats, smearing mud on their foreheads, praying to sunbeams. Some even dance around fires, chanting universal harmony. The tribe divides the sun believers, and the realists, you and Thon of course, are in the latter group, practical and still interested in snacks and snuggles. That afternoon, Kobe approaches you, serious-faced, holding a stick like a spiritual wand. He says, the sun has spoken. You must leave Tar. You frown. Direct message, no. Indirect through a cloud, then reflected in a puddle. You scratch your head. And you think I'll obey? Kobe nods solemnly. If you don't, your shadow will forever lean sideways in the afternoon. You blink. What about mornings? Mornings are for the pure-hearted, untouched by hippo enamel. You step back. Thanks, I'll take the tilt. That evening, the fire pit is split in two, left side for sun followers, right side for still sane. You and Thon roast roots with the sensible group, joined by those not ready to shave their heads or paint their chests in moss. Chip curls in your lap, gnawing on a bone, clearly unimpressed with Kobe's anti-love sermon. Thon leans against your shoulder. I used to think our tribe had only one kind of strange person. And then you met me, you say. No. Then I met Kobe. You chuckle. You should start a belief system. Theme. The god of full stomachs everyone must eat before making major life decisions. She nods. Practical. You think, any doctrines 3 meals a day, no flirting while hungry, and top cooks become spiritual leaders. You point at her. That's the first faith I'd convert to willingly. She winks. Membership costs a roasted root. Later, while the sun group chants, and who, you and Thon sit quietly by the embers, fingers laced, bellies warm, minds peaceful. You suddenly realize, in a world where people can turn to sun gods, rocks and celibacy, just because love didn't go their way, finding someone who's still willing to share their food with you is magic. Thon's hippo tooth swings gently at her neck, catching the firelight. And you know you don't need a tribe's approval. You just need one person who doesn't believe the sun is your life partner. That's enough to keep you going. You wake up to the smell of singed leaves. Not because someone's starting a fire, but because the sun followers are outside smoking themselves with dry grass to purify lustful urges. You can smell their hopeless devotion from across the rocks. You glance over at Thon, still asleep, mouth slightly open, hair draped over her face like vines. You carefully slide out from beneath the furs and step outside, determined to make this morning special. You're going vegetarian. Together. Why vegetarian? Because last night Thon had said, half serious, if we ever had to live without meat, that's when we'd find out who truly loves whom. You took it to heart. You head into the woods without your spear or stone blade, just a woven basket. The goal roots, leaves berries, and preferably ones that don't induce hallucinations. You remember Urok's advice, vegetarianism's fine, if you're trying to be a better person or just don't want diarrhea again. Wise words, if odd. You crouch by bushes, find purple-tinted greens. You sniff, earthy, slightly like damp socks. You nibble a leaf. Wait 5 minutes. No vision of flying snakes. Perfect. You fill your basket. On the way back, you pick a few wild flowers and tart berries. You feel like a Stone Age Michelin chef on a forage mission. At the cave, Thon is braiding her hair, blinking sleep from her eyes. You hold up your basket proudly. Special breakfast. No meat. Just for you. She raises an eyebrow. Truly vegetarian. No fur, no blood, no chewing sounds. You remember when scholars argued whether early humans ever went meatless. Now you know, yes, they did usually when the hunt failed. You get the fire going, lay out the leaves on hot stones, sprinkle some salt gravel, and let the greens sizzle. It smells interesting. Or maybe that's the hunger. Thon takes a bite, chews, frowns slightly, tastes like damp soil, but with good intentions. You nod. Exactly your flavor profile. She laughs. If I really liked flavors like this, I'd have married a mossy rock. You hand her a heart-shaped root, but you picked me instead, eating plants with you. That's love. If you finish the whole plate, that's love and forgiveness. You sit beside her chewing through bitter roots, sour berries and mildly numbing herbs. There's wind, there's ash, there's smoke. But this feels like the most complete date. You've had no wild animals, no weapons, just plant food and shared weirdness. After breakfast, you walk along the edge of the woods. Thon points to a tall bush I once hid there to escape an arranged marriage. You blink. To who grog? He used to have less beard, still just as grumpy. You clutch your belly laughing. So you'd rather hide in brambles than marry him? I got bitten by ants for 3 days. Still better, you grin. And if you had to avoid marrying me, where would you hide? She thinks. A flooded cave or thorn nest. Tempting real estate. But I'm sitting here with you because you don't terrify me. The two of you sit quietly watching the sun sneak through the trees. In the distance, the sun followers are chanting and fasting. They look pale like roots boiled too long. But you and Thon, you're full of vegetables and mildly questionable berries. And peace. Do you think if humans only ate greens, you ask, we'd go extinct? No, Thon replies. As long as someone still knows how to roast a leaf without charring it, and as long as we laugh while eating leaves, and as long as we love even when there's no feast. You turn to look at her. She's watching you, not smiling widely, not saying much. Just that look enough to tell you we can survive without many things, but not without each other. And you think love doesn't need to be loud. Sometimes it's just about eating tough roots together and not walking away mid-meal. You wake up to the ground shaking, not a nightmare, not Thon kicking you in her sleep, although that has happened before. No, this is real. The earth is rumbling like someone's pounding it with a pestle the size of a mammoth. You sit up, grass stuck to your face, just as the shouting begins. Elephants, elephants. You've never seen the tribe move this quickly. Roots are dropped, meat abandoned children scooped up, and one panicked man hides his head inside a rain barrel. You rush out, still blinking, and then you see them, a herd of elephants, at least 8, thundering across the edge of the clearing. They don't look angry, just purposeful. Each step sends a ripple through the ground. Each trumpet blast is like nature yelling, step aside or be a prehistoric pancake. You spin around, looking for Thon. She's running to, clutching a pouch of important things, the hippo tooth, some woven cords, and a handful of last night's leftover roots. When she sees you, she's panting. It's not my first time seeing elephants, but it is the first time I've seen you outrun Chip. You grab her hand and pull her behind a large rock. You remember when historians used to ask, when did humans domesticate elephants? Now you know, not yet. At this stage, elephants simply allow you to live if you're clever enough to get out of their way. One young elephant veers off, clearly separated from the herd. Its big eyes scan the clearing as if asking, Mum, are these creatures edible? A few people try sneaking towards it. You stop them. Don't. If its mum spots us, we're all tree paste. Thon nods. Elephants aren't toys or emergency snacks. You realize this is a rare moment. You can prove your worth, not by fighting, but by not being stupid. The tribe climbs higher ground. You and Thon help guide them up the rocky slope. The shaking continues. Pots fall, tools roll. Even a child's grass doll tumbles and snaps. At the peak, you glance at Thon. If the cave collapses, if we lose all our roots, if the fire dies, would you still choose me? She wipes sweat from her brow, breathless. If you keep grinning like a fool every time you burn a leaf, then yes. You smile despite your legs shaking like a lizard in a storm. Then comes a mighty trumpet. The matriarch elephant lets out one final call and turns. The entire herd pivots, marching away from the village. Maybe someone's prayers worked. Maybe they just didn't like the terrain. Either way, the threat passes. Silence. Then cheers. Some shout, "Forest spirits saved us." Others claim the sun answered. You don't care who they thank you. Just turn to Thon and whisper, "Still alive." She nods. Another tale for the grandkids. You picture it years from now, telling the story of how their cave mates once dodged an elephant stampede while holding hands and leftover root. The tribe returns to the clearing, collecting dropped tools and mending shelters. You pick up a small stone lantern you'd carved for Thon last week. It's cracked, broken in two. You sigh about to toss it, but she takes the larger half. "We can fix it," she says, "like everything else." You nod. And you know, in a day when nature tried to flatten your entire tribe with 8 tons of indifference, the fact that you both made it through without arguing is something very real. That night, the fire crackles gently. The tribe sits in thoughtful silence. No grand speeches, just chewing, nodding, and occasional deep sighs of "that was close." Thon sits beside you, the hippo tooth still swinging at her neck, glinting faintly in the firelight. And you think we don't get to choose the age we're born into, but we do get to choose who we run from elephants with. And tonight, you know you chose the right person. This morning feels unusually quiet. No chanting from Kobe, no clanging from Grog, no one headbutting anyone over mistaken eye contact, just birdsong far away and the faint scent of roasted roots floating through the breeze. You wake up to find Thon already sitting by the stream, stirring the water with her fingers, as if sketching her thoughts into it. You sit beside her quietly for a while. Then she turns to you and asks, "Do you think this is the ending?" You blink. Ending of what? Of this journey? Of the search? 2 people wandering through prehistory, trying to find someone without Tinder. You chuckle. If we had Tinder, do you think we'd have matched? She pretends to ponder. What would your profile picture be? Me next to burnt roots. And the caption, "Can start fires, roast food, outrun bears. Looking for someone who'll laugh even when it tastes awful." She nods. "Yeah, I'd swipe right." You smile. Not the unsure smile you gave her by the river that first day. Not the hopeful one with cracked lips and jungle breath. A real one. Because now she's still sitting next to you even when your jokes are terrible and your face still smells faintly of smoked root. You remember when people once questioned whether love existed in the Stone Age or whether it was just about survival. But now you know it does exist. It's the kind where someone sees you eat moss, trip over goats, gift the wrong tooth, and still hold your hand the next morning. That afternoon, tribe leader Gal calls the 2 of you forward. It's a quiet ritual. No flowers, no music, no priest. Just a ring of stones on the ground. And Gal's short speech. These 2 didn't die under elephants. That's worth sticking together for. The tribe claps by, banging rocks together. Loud, primitive, beautiful. Thon slips a woven cord around your neck with that odd bone charm you once found by accident. You give her the half-broken stone lantern. When the 2 clink together, it makes a small ting. Not loud, not glowing, but somehow it sounds like a promise. That evening, you both sit by the stream again, watching a herd of animals far in the distance. You say, "So what do we do now?" She smiles. "Keep the fire going. Watch the roots. Stay alive." You nod. "That's basically love, isn't it?" She winks. "And if we ever have a kid, we're not naming it Grog, okay?" You laugh. "Deal." You lie back on the grass. Her fingers brush yours. Neither of you lets go. The clouds drift overhead, and you think life in prehistory may not have had mansions, phones, or chocolate. But when you have someone to lie next to under a bare-free sky, with no fear, no hunger, and no awkward silence, that's enough. Then Thon whispers, I never used to believe in past life soulmates, but now I think maybe we met before. You squeeze her hand. You don't need to answer. You don't need proof. Just this moment, two entirely ordinary cave people, not heroic, not legendary, just a couple who made it through. And that's how the story ends. No epic conclusion, no soundtrack, just the wind through the grass, the crackle of the fire, and a simple truth exchanged without words. We are each other's long before there was a word for each other. You finished a journey not of distance but of feeling. From waking alone beside a half-chewed bone to falling asleep with someone beside you who truly sees you. Along the way, you've discovered fire roots mistakes and love that roasts slowly but warms deep. This story doesn't teach you how to survive in the wild. It only reminds you that love, whether carved on stone, whispered in a burp, or shared through a soggy root, always begins the same way with something simple. A smile, a story, a clumsy gesture. Now let that story fade like embers at the end of a long night. No more bears, no more bison. Just you listening to the prehistoric wind through the leaves. Take a deep breath. Exhale. Close your eyes. We'll meet again in some dream where the roots are still tough, but the love is still warm. Good night, everyone.